Greetings, Magic Community. This is Mike from MTG Scribe, and welcome to the Modern Horizons 3 Pro Tour Day 1 special report. So, a lot of things happened today. There was a lot of things announced at the preview panel. I'm going to have an article out hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow afternoon, about a number of those things. The Magic Foundation set I'm finding really interesting, and the more information I find out about it, the more I actually like the idea of the set. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow or later tonight in that article. For now, I want to talk about the Pro Tour. And originally, we were going to look at some of the 3-0 limited decks, but as I'm recording this, Melee currently is not displaying any decks, constructed or limited, on their site. So, unfortunately, we can't go into that. But we will take a look at the standings. We'll take a look at what the draft pods are going to look like tomorrow morning, at least the two featured ones. And we'll talk a little bit about the AMP rankings and how we stand going into the rest of this weekend. So here's our current top 17, I guess. Jacob Nagro is the only player to finish with a perfect undefeated record of the day. Ellie Cassis, John Emil Deprav, Brian Boss, Javier Dominguez, Jason Yee, Noah Ma, all finished with records of 7 and 1. And those 7 players, plus David Gonzalez Romero, are going to be the featured draft pod tomorrow morning. That's going to be 5 a.m. Eastern, just like it was today. A few things of note. We've been watching Ellie Cassis for a while because he was doing pretty well in the AMP rankings. I think he was first overall. If not first, he was in the top 3. And this is going to do a lot for his Player of the Year rankings as well. I remember we talked about him on on Thursday, saying that he had an outside shot to do really well in the Player of the Year standings if he did really well in this tournament, and so far he's been doing that. Another interesting note, Jason Yee, this is its 3rd ever Pro Tour, and it is also Jason's 3rd ever Day 2 featured draft pod, which is just a wild statistic. It keeps doing better and better every single time it shows up at a Pro Tour. So Jason is certainly someone to watch. The 2nd featured draft pod tomorrow is going to be Brett Voss, Market Wosner, Johnny Gutman, Mark Perrell, Ken Yukihiro, Elliot Dragon, Daniel Kosic, and I'm so bad at names, I apologize. Lori Tornstrom. I think that's close. If not, again, very much apologize. Terrible at names. But that is going to be the 2nd featured draft pod. All of those players have 6 wins or better. They're 6 and 2 or better. So those are our 2 featured draft pods tomorrow. We'll get a look at that, like I said, at 5 a.m. Eastern time. Now let's take a look at the thing that I like to track, the thing that is a little hard to find stats on without the spreadsheet. And I understand that it's probably going to be a little hard to read on the screen right now. I am going to put a link to this spreadsheet in the description of this video so you can go ahead and check it out at your leisure. But as I mentioned, Ellie Cassis is currently atop the adjusted point total standings. And again, as a reminder, the AMPS adjusted match, I cannot talk. The adjusted match points, or AMP, which I have for some reason labeled as adjusted point total. I don't know why. But the AMPs are calculated like this. When you get a win in a Pro Tour, you get 3 points. The way that AMPs work is it counts the points you get at a Pro Tour and then subtracts the first 9 of those. So you need a record of 4 and 0 or better. 4 and X or better. So, it is 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie. So, it is theoretically possible to have 10 points and you would have 1 AMP. But for the most part, it's wins and losses. So, the top 32 players at the end of this Pro Tour that don't already have a Worlds invite will get an at-large Worlds bid for October later this year. So currently, as I mentioned, Ellie is in the lead, but Ellie is also 7 and 1 in this tournament, and in second place overall currently. So he has a good chance to top 8. He's in excellent position to do that. And if he does top 8, then he will be removed from this list, and everyone who is below him will get bumped up. That's going to be important because we're going to talk about a few people that have an outside shot to get Worlds invites, in a moment. But currently, Ellie is leading the charge in terms of amp points or amps for people that do not currently have Worlds invites. 32nd at the moment is Steven Schultz, who has 37 amps currently. Now, you'll notice these people marked in red. These players that are marked in red did not make day two, either because they didn't play in this tournament or because they didn't have the requisite 12 points to make day two. So, James Larson Scott, Kane Reinhardt, uh, Dylan Kakawa, Ben Stark. I think Ben Stark actually didn't play in this tournament. Uh, Arnie Radamaki and Gabe Nassif, of the people that are currently in the top 32, did not make day two. So anyone below them has a chance to jump over them. James Larson Scott, last year, I will say that the threshold you needed to hit was 42 amp in order to make that top 32 to get a Worlds invite. So James Larson Scott and Robert Wagner Krankel, nope, Kane Reinhardt, both have an outside shot despite not making day two to get one of those at-large Worlds invites. So it is possible for them to stay in the top 32. It depends on how people below them do. There's a few other names that were close that didn't quite make day two, and these people who are outside of the top 32 currently, they have no shot. I would say Gabe Nassif is probably pretty safely to assume is out, and anyone who has less than 40 points. But I mean, we'll see. They're not out yet, so you never know. The people currently in the tournament going into day two who are in good position to make the top eight: Ellie Cassis, Brian Boss, really anyone with 10 or more points, and Brent Voss. And then there's a few people who have 9 amp currently: Marco DePivo, uh, Derek Davis, Daniel Gosenchef, and uh, Charlopos Kakidis. I hope that's at least close. All have a really good shot to make top 8. They make the top 8, they don't need to worry about amps, and actually they're removed, and everyone below them, again, is bumped up. I've highlighted Nicole Tipple here. Nicole is currently at 31 amp. She only played in 2 Pro Tours this year. She was not around for Murders of Karlov Manor. The Outlaws of Thunder Junction Pro Tour was actually her first ever Pro Tour, and she's doing pretty well in this tournament at the moment. So for someone like Nicole, who has a number of people above her that didn't make day two, if she gets to 5 wins tomorrow, I think no matter what, just based on the people that are the number of people above her, she will be in 34th place. If she doesn't do anything beyond that, if she just gets to 5 wins tomorrow and then loses every other game, she would still have a shot if a number of these people made the top 8. Ellie, for example, and Brian Boss, if just those two, and she was in 34th, that would put her in 32nd. That would get her a Worlds bid. So even though this is only Nicole's second ever Pro Tour, it is entirely reasonable that Nicole might make Worlds if she does well enough tomorrow. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on. Obviously, everyone above her has similar chances. Christian Calcano has a shot at making Worlds. And there's a few people below that are doing well. Mark Perrell currently has 5 wins. So outside shot. Jacob Nagro obviously is undefeated in this tournament so far. So excellent position to make Worlds via making that top 8. And tomorrow when I do my recap, we'll go ahead and look at this again, and we'll actually know exactly who the top 32 is. We'll know exactly who's going to be making it to Worlds, and we'll have a idea of what that field is going to look like overall. Now, a few things that we didn't get to talk about today. We didn't get to talk about those 3-0 decks. One thing that I do have, however, is the Play MTG Twitter account tweeted out what the color pairs were that did go 3-0 during Limited today. So I'm going to read those out right now. The Jeskai pair, or trio, had 4 decks go 3-0. Blue-green had 4. Blue-white had 4. Red-white had 4. And then we get into the 3. It's just red-black had 3. Blue-black had 2. And then green white, red green, witherbloom, and white black all had one, with Esper and four color each additionally having one. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a look at some of those decks tomorrow. Again, Melee just isn't displaying any deck lists at all right now, so we can't really get a good look at those. But that's going to be it for me today. Tomorrow, I'll be back after the Pro Tour ends. Like I said, we'll talk about the AMP standings, the final AMP standings, because again, we'll know exactly who's getting those world invites. We'll also talk about how Player of the Year is shaping up. We won't know exactly how that looks specifically because the top 8 order does matter, but we can have a pretty good idea of what that is going to look like. So we'll take a look at that tomorrow, and then we'll talk about who is in the top 8. And be on the lookout for that article I mentioned about the new products that were announced today. I'm going to try to put that out late tonight. If not late tonight, it'll come out tomorrow afternoon for sure. I'm going to link to the spreadsheet in the description. And other than that, that is the recap for today. Until next time, which is tomorrow, good luck, and I hope tomorrow's a better day for you.